Okay, I thought I would give a short presentation on just some random dialects, little pieces of code that I've been working on. StyleTalk is a reimagining of CSS in Rebol. I have no delimiters. Everything is just values, no blocks. Just strip out the descriptors. So instead of saying font weight bold, I just say bold, because bold is bold regardless of the context. Tag B, strong, is bold. This is just a dialect that sits on top and kind of compiles to CSS. And there's a lot more going on here, but you end up with different styles, different rotations. I'm flipping through this. It's a great demo of Impress.js that was just kind of repurposed. And it actually still works quite well. So all of this was in the original Impress.js demo, and I just reconfigured the CSS to be done in StyleTalk. So it's just, again, stripping out keywords from CSS and just kind of boiling it down to its essence. So it's much more compact, and I think much more expressive, and transition keywords, so kind of abstracting some of the animation properties of CSS as well. So in this, after 1 second, the opacity of this class is gonna change. That's one example of a dialect, just kind of replacing CSS. I'd love to take it further. One day I will. Last man standing. I have a soccer team. We sometimes play last man standing to, generate a little bit of money for our team. We all pick who we think will win. The way I was managing this was just on a spreadsheet, and containing all these rules was difficult. You have a rule where if you tie, you still get to play the next week, but if you get another tie, it's the same as losing. So I just did this. I have this here, and this, I don't think I can actually demo it actually working, but I have a nice little HTTP server that gives me an interface to this, and it's just like I try, if I have a dialect, if I have a file that's in a dialect, I try and put type on it, because the original type came on the desktop project. So yeah, the desktop project kind of ran with this idea. So these are little files that are actually on websites. It's a little index file. The sites one is the most obvious. This is kind of an interpreted version of it, because I have this is the actual address. This is where this file is stored. Yeah, so this is actually a file that's on the server, and I have this interprets it and presents it here. You can look at the source. The original Vue version, you could actually click on scripts and they would run. Here, it just brings up source for the moment until we get something running in the browser. Again, it is a blast from the past. It's a very, very old one. Distributed desktop. Softball scorecards. This is a problem I had. I umpire softball, and you get these huge kind of scorecards. They're like full page for one team, so you need 2 pages for one game. And so it looks like kind of like this. So like when your batter comes up, you mark like whether he runs around the bases. You mark him out if he gets struck out, and you kind of fill in the little diamond if he gets run. You do this for each batter in an inning, and it's a way of tracking how many runs, how many outs. And as you can see, this is kind of big. If you have a pad like this, you have to kind of hold it like this. So I had this idea: what if you could fit it onto a single letter size sheet? Yep, there we go. So this folds into 4 pieces. One game is 1 row. So I get 2 games out of this. It's a lot more compact, and I was like, oh, this is great. So how do I get all these diamonds? Do I do this in a graphics program? Nah, I'm gonna script this. So let's make this bigger. I'm using Gabriel's PDF maker. I'm using points. Gabriel uses millimeters. So So I kind of have to define all the little parts that I want to include here. There's an arrow shape. I got my little arrow shape there. So that is here. So it has a direction, and here's a little bit of like PDF dialect to draw that. I have my grid lines. So I have lines that go across, lines that go down. And again, this is just this is more of a macro in this dialect. The dialect has its own control flow. It has switch, and it has, I think it has if, and a few others. I think it has a while. I have something for a rectangle label, and my diamonds. So the diamond is defined as a single one. It has an X and a Y, and it goes up 7 points, down 7 points. And what we end up with is a scorecard that kind of looks like this. So you have the team, which is a home or visitor. If it's the home team, I have a little field column that goes on that side of the header. The home team, the arrow down instead of up, because they always play the bottom of the inning. The visitor, I get the date, time, visitor, arrow up, because they're always top of the inning. Got a few grid lines. And at the end, there's my diamonds. So 8 columns by 10 columns. At the end, the whole page is defined by page size, 4 scorecards, visitor home, visitor home. So it kind of boils the PDF down to that very basic set of commands. Okay, another thing that I did recently was the EPUB. This is because of the work Brian did in kind of ironing out the inclusion of what's it called, zlib. So an EPUB's is another kind of strange format, which is just kind of zipped HTML and XML, and I just wanted to be able to build this in Rebel. So here it is. This is an EPUB represented as just a Rebel block with strings containing the various XML pieces, which can again be abstracted by creating these pieces through other dialects. And that is all an EPUB is. You could replace the CSS with StyleTalk. You could replace this with Markdown or MakeDoc or Blessed. And EPUB is a very marketable format at the moment. Yeah, I think that covers it. That's just a few examples of some dialects, some abstracted content, and just again how Rebel can be used to kind of paper over the cracks of some absolutely awful publishing formats. Yep. All right.